Hello everyone, Joe here from Draft FPL and welcome to a weekly series helping you find some good value free agents and waiver pickups in Draft FPL. If you're interested in Draft FPL tips and strategy, then make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. And if you want to join our Draft FPL community and support the channel, there's a link to our Patreon down below where you can join our Discord server for great Draft FPL discussion and a direct line to myself and the rest of the Snake Draft League for tips and information. So as we know, Game Week 7 was completely postponed, and looking ahead to Game Week 8 is very difficult to figure out what's going to happen. Now, this is a lot of conjecture. I ideally would like to make this video later on in the week, preferably like Tuesday or Wednesday when we know what's happening, but unfortunately I'm actually going away on a golf trip for the next few days, so if I didn't make it today then it wasn't going to be possible to make the video at all. So I figure let's just get something out and we go from there. So I'm working under basically the following assumptions. First of all, I think games will happen in Game Week 8. It looks like the Queen's funeral is going to be on the Monday after the game week. So the games will happen. I think the only limiting factor for the games is the police resourcing around the games and how much of the police presence they can provide. I think the games that are in most jeopardy of being postponed in Game Week 8 are the London fixtures. That's Spurs versus Leicester on the Saturday evening, Brentford Arsenal on the Sunday, and Chelsea Liverpool on the Sunday. So Brighton Palace has already been postponed. The actual rail strike that caused the postponement has now been cancelled itself, but I don't think they're going to bring the game back. Normally once they postpone a game, it's actually very hard logistically to then bring it back. So I don't see that happening. I think Brighton Palace will be postponed. I think Brentford Arsenal and Chelsea Liverpool are the next most likely, and I think Spurs Leicester is the next most likely after that. So my picks this week are completely ignoring those fixtures and going on the rest of them basically, because I think that's the best way to plan for Game Week 8. So let's get into the picks. Okay, so the first pick this week is Patterson. Everton defence has actually been pretty good this season under Frank, surprisingly. Better than we expected, I'd say. And West Ham at home is a really good fixture this week. I do think this game is going to be very low scoring, to be honest. I just don't really trust either of the attacks to click as it stands right now. In Game Week 9 they've got Saints away, which is a great fixture from a defensive point of view as well. Saints attack's been kind of poor. And United at home, Tottenham away are in 10-11, which aren't so good, but by then you could think about dropping Patterson if you wanted to. He has got some attacking threat. I've been really impressed with him in general, to be honest, as the games have gone on so far. And he is definitely my favourite pick in that Everton defence at the moment. Available in 95% of leagues, which is fantastic. You know, this is the kind of player that no one really paid any attention to so far, and could be a really worthwhile pickup, especially for these next two fixtures. The next man up is Kufal of West Ham. I will say with Kufal, it is a little bit up in the air if he's definitely going to keep his spot in the team. There is competition. Obviously, Cresswell has been injured the last couple of games, and Kufal started on the right, and Emerson has been playing on the left. I think it's more likely that Kufal starts and one of Emerson or Cresswell start on the left. I think that's probably the most likely scenario. So I've gone for Kufal. The next four fixtures are all fantastic for West Ham. Everton away, Wolves at home, Fulham at home, Saints away. You don't get much better than that, to be honest. Available in 89% of leagues. I think this is just a really smart pickup for Game Week 8 and beyond, because as well as clean sheets, he does carry a bit of attacking threat and open play as well, especially whipping in crosses for the big lads in the middle, Souček and Antonio, Scamacca, those kind of players. So I think these next four we might see West Ham really start to pick it up a bit. Next up is Renan Lodi of Forest. Looks like he's taken the spot off Toffolo in that left wing back slot, and I do really think he has got a bit of attacking threat about him. Obviously, Forest defence is not great, but I do think with these fixtures, you will likely, I think they'll probably keep it clean against either Fulham or Villa at home. So if you've got Lodi for both of those, then it's not a bad shout. He does get quite far forward in that wing back role as well as Nico Williams on the other side. Nico Williams is quite significantly more selected than Lodi, and I think that's because he's had those couple of attacking returns so far, but I don't think he carries any more threat than Lodi on the other side. So I think, available in 88% of leagues is a really good pickup over these next 4 fixtures. On to midfielders then, and the first man is someone I've mentioned basically every other week when they've had a good fixture this season. It's Miguel Almiron of Newcastle, currently available in 62% of leagues. And look at these fixtures. Bournemouth at home in game week 8 is fantastic. He is definitely going to be top of my waiver priority in any league that he is free this week. Game week 9 is Fulham away, which is a fantastic attacking fixture as well. Then it's Brentford at home, which is really good. Then it's United away, which I actually fancy him to do quite well in as well, because he might get a bit more time on the break at Old Trafford. So these 4 fixtures are just fantastic. As I said, 62% of leagues he's available in. I've got not much else to say other than that, really. He'll be top of my waiver priority, and probably, unless you've got an absolutely fantastic midfield, he probably should be top of yours too. I know in a lot of bigger leagues Almiron is already picked, but I do have a backup Newcastle attacker because this fixture is so good, and that is Joe Willock. He is free in 96% of leagues, so if Almiron is already picked, I would then look to going for Joe Willock instead, just to really attack these next 3 fixtures for Newcastle. Next up, we've got Damari Gray of Everton. Not the most clinical player, often flatters to deceive, and kind of for fantasy is quite annoying, I find, because he gets in such great positions but never quite seems to get the attacking returns that he seems like he should. But he is available in 63% of leagues, and they do have good fixtures, especially the next 2. West Ham at home and Saints away are really good fixtures for any side, to be honest. And I do think, as I said earlier, Everton are starting to get a bit better under Frank, and I do think they're actually starting to perform a little bit. If Calvert-Lewin's back, which he may well be, then that could see the whole attack function a bit better as well. They look miles better with Mopé, let alone when Calvert-Lewin is eventually fit. As I said earlier, 10 and 11 is United at home and Spurs away, which isn't ideal, but for the next 2, definitely, I think he's a really good pick. Finally, for midfielders, I've got someone completely out of the left field, to be honest. It's Bobby Reid, Bobby D. Cordova-Reid, available in 98% of leagues. He's picked in just 2% of Draft FPL leagues, and I think he's actually not a bad pick, to be honest. Especially, I really like a couple of these fixtures for Fulham. It's Forest away in this week, and I think that's going to be a goal fest. Then we've got Newcastle at home, West Ham away, which are a little bit tougher, a little bit tighter, but Fulham are creating a lot of chances. And then it's Bournemouth at home in game week 11, which is another great fixture. I think Fulham are really attacking. I think they're actually going to score quite a lot of goals this year. Obviously, Mitrovic has got the bulk so far, but I do fancy Bobby Reid to sneak in there with a few attacking returns himself. And I think game week 8 and game week 11 are absolute prime candidates for high scoring games with a lot of attacking returns. The only downside to D. Cordova-Reid at the moment is the rotation risk. Obviously, they've signed James, they've signed Willian, and we're not 100% sure who's going to play. I will say that I think Willian is not a great option, and I don't think he'll start games for Fulham anytime soon. I think James probably has a bit more likelihood, but I think it's more likely personally that he takes Cabano's spot on the other side. And I think D. Cordova-Reid actually is quite important to how they play. I could be proved wrong, he could not play, but I think if you're in a big league especially and you desperately need to pick someone up this week because you've got a lot of blanks, as a lot of people will do, I think you can't go that far wrong with D. Cordova-Reid. On to forwards then, and the first one is Dominic Solanke of Bournemouth, available in 49% of leagues, so just under half the Draft FPL leagues. Bournemouth's fixtures are so good, especially starting in game week 9. This Newcastle at St James's Park this week isn't great, but Brentford at home, Leicester at home, Fulham away in the next 3 is so strong. And I think this week will probably be your last week to get Solanke off the waivers. I imagine in most competitive leagues he will no longer be available after this week because I expect him to start. And, a starting forward that's actually playing number 9 will not stay on the waivers for long. So this is probably a chance to pick him up, even if you don't love the fixture. If you fancy getting him in for game week 9, I'd probably try and get him in now because that number, 49%, is going to go down pretty rapidly, I think. And finally, we have Adam Armstrong, 41% of leagues he's drafted in. So obviously, you know, there are a lot of leagues out there that he's not going to be available, but the forwards are such slim pickings at the moment, it's almost impossible to find a gem. Of the next 4 fixtures, it's Villa away in game week 8, Everton at home in 9, then City away in 10, West Ham at home in 11. I think these are pretty good fixtures for Saints. 3 out of the 4 I would say are definitely startable fixtures for Adam Armstrong, and I'd be more than happy to carry him through those. I think Villa away this week might actually be a sneaky high scoring game, even though Saints specifically have pretty good defensive numbers and pretty awful attacking numbers, so the data would suggest their games will be quite low scoring, but it's not really worked out like that for them so far. We'll wait and see if that carries on as the season goes on, but I think Adam Armstrong's a perfectly fine pick. Someone that's going to be a third forward. You're not going to play him every week, but definitely one to cover a blank this week for sure. Okay, then that wraps up my game week 8 waiver picks. Apologies if by the time the waiver deadline comes around this is completely out of date. I'm just trying to kind of do the best I can at the moment with the news that we currently have. So if you enjoyed the video, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the Patreon and Discord server down below.